Hey, what's happening, everybody? Jay Shockblast here. And man, oh man, season 3 of Arrow is over. And let's go ahead and talk about that finale. Can you believe it? You know, I just, I love Arrow. I love it to death. I know a lot of people are really into The Flash lately. Um, and a lot of people are kind of saying that The Flash is past Arrow, but that episode was intense. It was definitely a great way to end the season, albeit I do take a little bit of an exception with the kind of outro scene, if you will. Um, Now, here's the thing. Number one, um, there are going to be spoilers, so if you haven't watched the season finale yet, please hold off on watching this video. And number two, let's just get right out into it. There are two big problems, I should say, that I had with this episode. Number one is the way it ends, the very, very last scene, which I'll get into later. And number two happens pretty much right away. So if you think back to the second to last episode, we were left with Felicity and Diggle and Laurel and Palmer and Malcolm. Everybody kind of stuck in a room with the Alpha and Omega virus or whatever it was, and them all passed out about to die. And we kind of knew that obviously something was going to happen to get them out of it. And then the second to last episode of The Flash happens, and Oliver comes out of nowhere to team up with Firestorm and The Flash. And you're kind of like, what is going on? Because at this point, that was the last thing we saw from Oliver. And all of a sudden, he's there helping out the Flash. So at that point, you kind of know that Barry Allen is going to run in to save the day. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Barry Allen comes in and saves the day. Malcolm Merlyn tells everybody that he gave them, a cure for the virus because they took it from Oliver's blood. And that was that. That's our saves the day moment. And Diggle is pissed. Like, Diggs, man, I'm a little worried about what's going to happen with Diggs next season. I almost feel like they're hinting at him being the bad guy next season. And I'll get into that in a moment. So I was a little let down, and I guess that's the challenge that you have when you have two shows that you're kind of focusing on and kind of crossing paths back and forth, with the team-ups and everything. I love that they do that, don't get me wrong, but, you're going to run into situations like that. Haha, no pun intended, run into. But it made sense. I kind of felt like even before we saw that Oliver was going to be in that episode of The Flash, I kind of felt like there's a really good chance that he could have somehow brought Barry Allen into the fold. It kind of made a lot of sense to do that. So, that's that, I guess. One of the other things we see is, like I mentioned, the animosity between Diggle and Oliver. He's mad. He throughout all three seasons, their big thing is, his big thing is, you have to trust us. You have to, rely on us. You have to be honest with us. Like, that is a message he has sent from day one. And I feel like once he brought his wife into the fold, that really changed a lot of things between the relationship between Diggle and Oliver. And I don't know if that's something that could be repaired. At the end of the episode, Diggle kind of walks out. He's like, yeah, I'm not going to be a part of this. And Oliver kind of chases after him and talks to him. And he's like, hey, man, just if you do decide to keep doing this, just make sure to conceal your identity. So to me, it almost feels like we need a big bad guy for season 4. And I know that Diggle seems to be the purest of the group, the best of the group. But this means one of two things. Number one, he's going to come back with a secret identity. You know, he's gonna come back with a mask and a suit and his own little getup. He's not gonna be, you know, Mr. Cowboy over here running around cavalierly in whatever he happens to be wearing at the moment. And you know, honestly, I'm surprised that it took 3 full seasons to get him to finally suit up, if you will. I don't think that there's a character that they're going to turn him into. But if you think about it, he could be, you know, working against Oliver somehow. And I don't want to see it go that direction, but in a lot of ways it would make sense. One thing that I feel like they kind of have to step away from is, you know, this is 3 seasons now where there was some possible catastrophe that, you know, rounds out the season. You know, season 1 you have the earthquake, season 2 you have the Deathstroke army, Mirakuru army, and now season 3 you have the League of Assassins about to poison the city. And I understand the whole premise for the show is that Oliver is looking out for his city, but I just feel like at some point, you know, you kind of have to evolve. So there has to be a way for there to be that showdown without it, you know, involving, the destruction of the city. Now, I know this isn't the Ra's al Ghul that we know from the show, but, you know, we finally had that showdown, Oliver Queen versus Ra's al Ghul, and, you know, Ra's just kicking his ass for a little while. And you kind of get the... I mean, obviously Oliver was going to win. They're not going to end the season with Ra's al Ghul killing Oliver or winning or anything like that. You knew that was going to happen. But yeah, man, Oliver put a sword right through the chest of Ra's al Ghul. And then we have the ultimate plot twist. You know, Ra's al Ghul hands him the little ring that he wears that makes him the Ra's. And that's that. Oliver apparently is Ra's al Ghul. Then we have the little meeting at the end, and he hands it to Malcolm Merlyn. And one of the final scenes we see is Malcolm Merlyn as the new Ra's al Ghul. We do see Nyssa al Ghul, you know, tease that she intends on killing Malcolm. So that should be interesting to see how that plays out. That's obviously going to be a, you know, a central story of next season. But it's funny that Malcolm has manipulated his way to having Oliver Queen, the Green Arrow, make him Ra's al Ghul. It's just remarkable. John Barrowman is fantastic in his role, and I can't believe that that's kind of like the twist they had at the end. I was not expecting that at all. I mean, I guess bad guys are always going to be bad guys, so there's that. But yeah, he made it seem like towards the end of the season that his ways were changing just a little bit, but apparently that was not the case. So yeah, I can say I'm definitely intrigued to see, you know, what happens, but you know, we'll see, I guess. Also, least the most predictable thing ever after I want to say I don't remember if this is Oliver Queen. Episode 22 was the second to last one. Survive. But you know, basically Thea goes and she Thea goes and she sees Arsenal. I can't think of his name right now. Roy Harper, and Roy gives her the Speedy or the Arsenal jacket and everything. And what has he called her throughout the whole series? You know, through it all, he has basically referred to her as Speedy. And Speedy is what they originally called Arsenal, you know, back in the day. That was his first nickname, was Speedy. So it makes sense for her to take on the alias of Speedy, if you think about it. And she gets all suited up. all suited up, and she's suited up as Speedy. And that's pretty cool. I definitely appreciated that, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how that dynamic, you know, goes on with season 4, because he's basically spent the whole time protecting her and protecting everybody, and I feel like because of everything that's happened and the way that it ended, that he's going to be a little bit more open to having everybody help him. And we are definitely going to see a different Oliver Queen, a different Arrow, a different Green Arrow, in season 4. Um, Before I talk about one of the major things that happened to one of the supporting characters, I want to talk about the very final scene, because I think you have to talk about one before you can talk about the other. So basically, Oliver and Felicity, Olicity, that is the thing now. She just goes right back to Oliver the second he's back, and Roy Harper's a thing of the past. Ray Palmer is a thing of the past, which fine makes sense. I'm still not a fan of Olicity, mostly because I just don't like. I feel like Oliver is supposed to be with Laurel, if you will. Um, so I'm kind of waiting for that to be a thing that happens. Um, but they ride off into the sunset. Literally, it is literally a scene of them riding in a convertible off into the sunset. And we all know that they're not gonna. They don't get to be happy. That's not gonna be something that happens. And that's something that Oliver says. I never thought I'd feel this way. I'm happy. You know, you don't get to feel happy. So I'm wondering what's going to happen. And I feel like it's going to have a lot to do with them creating the spin-off for the new show that they're going to be doing, Legends of Tomorrow. So if you're not aware, Legends of Tomorrow is going to be the third show to come out of the Arrow, Flash, to join Arrow and Flash, I should say, on the WB. And it's going to be another crossover show where all the characters are going to cross over place to place. And, we're going to basically see Ray Palmer is going to be like one of the lead stars of the show. What happens at the end of the show is, Ray Palmer, as part of the way that they had to save the city with his nanomite technology, he discovers a way to make things smaller, which for me has always been missing with the Atom character. Like, he's got this suit that makes him fly. It never really sat right with me, and that's because obviously there's an evolution. So there's a huge explosion at the Ray Palmer building, and we're obviously left not knowing what's happened to him. And obviously, I feel like it's going to be, he's not going to need the suit because he is going to be the Atom, The stuff the suit was supposed to do, somehow the nanites, like, fuse with him and allow him to do those things without the suit. And that's going to let him cross over into Legends of Tomorrow. So that is my anticipation there. And as I jump off a cliff. So yeah, as I do it again. So that is my anticipation with that. So I'm interested to see where that goes. I feel like this is a really great season. I think it's kind of hard to look at it side by side with The Flash, which was just kind of getting started, and kind of feel as strongly about it, because the Flash had a lot more going on, because it had so much more to work with. And now that we're at this point with Arrow, it's starting to become, more and more involved, if you will. You're getting in, some of the storylines that they had the opportunity to use early on are starting to get thinner and thinner. So I'm really looking forward to, what's going to happen next. So some things that happened subtly, Ray Palmer signed over the company to Felicity. And I feel like that's how Oliver is going to get, Queen consolidated back, something has to happen to Felicity at some point. Like I love Felicity. I think she's a great character. I think I can't think of her name that plays her. Um, I'm blanking, but I think she's a great actor, and I obviously understand. Um, I understand why. Um, why she has like why she became as popular as she is. Emily Ricards, that's who it is. So I understand why she became so popular and why everybody wants to see her with Oliver and everything. I get that, but for me, ultimately, Oliver needs to be with Laurel, and I just don't know where Felicity fits into that. Like at some point, Felicity is gonna wake up and say, "Oh, I can't, be around Oliver," like with all this love and blah blah blah. So I mean, I feel like her story has to end tragically, and I feel like that's what's gonna happen because Oliver doesn't get to be happy, and he's gonna come back and avenge her, if you will. And I don't know if Diggle is gonna have anything to do with it. I kind of feel like probably not. I really don't see him as bad guy material. Um, so I mean, I just can't. Yeah, I just can't place him as the bad guy. But it would make sense if he was. I mean, it's. I feel like it's almost alluded to, if you will, but I don't know. It was definitely an interesting way to end the season. And I'm definitely really interested to see what happens next. I'm also interested to hear what you guys thought about it. How did you feel about the way it all ended? I felt like it was a really, really good way to end. Captain Lance, you can tell him going back to his, arrow-loving ways, if you will. He worked with them. He tried his best to protect Oliver. When Oliver was, about to get shot by the police sniper. So, definitely interesting dynamics there. I think in season 4, I would really like to see, more characters. So Arsenal's gone, and we have Speedy. Ray Palmer is obviously going to be gone. Nissa, she should still be there. I would love to see them work in the guy Ted Grant, Wildcat. I'd love to see them work him in a little bit more. Obviously, there's other opportunities for some characters to kind of jump in. I'm intrigued to see what they do there. But obviously, Oliver's not gone. He's going to be back. The show is Arrow, after all. I'm hoping at this point, now that he's happy, like, that he can start being more like the Green Arrow. I think back to Smallville. Justin Hartley, I believe, is who played the Green Arrow in Smallville. Like, his portrayal of the Green Arrow and Oliver Queen was perfect. It was, like, very Tony Stark, very, Robert Downey Jr., Tony Stark. So that's what I always pictured Oliver as. Oliver, to me, was Tony Stark, and that's what I really kind of expected from him. I'm not disappointed. I love Steve Amell. Like, he does a great job. I just don't want to change characters right now. That's why I haven't. But I'd love to see them get, more characters involved. I don't really know who else they could team up with. I really am looking forward to seeing, Speedy as the sidekick and not just Arsenal. And that's nothing against what's his face, Colton Haynes. Colton Haynes is great. Really sad to see him go. But Thea, I like the dynamic of her, as Speedy. They definitely have done a good job of building it that way and bringing her into the fold that way. So I'd love to see that kind of play itself out a little bit more. And I don't know who else we could really, like, they haven't really alluded to anybody else, but, you know, there's definitely some opportunity for them to do some stuff. I don't really know who else they could do as the big bad guy. I mean, I guess they could go back to Malcolm Merlyn, and now that he's leading the League of Assassins, but I don't really want to see them go that route quite yet. I want them to leave the League of Assassins out of it, at least for a season. You know, let that be a Season 5 thing, because we all know it's going to get to a Season 5. You know, let's just kind of hold tight there, and I just don't know who else, you know, the Green Arrow, well, I don't know who else he really feuds with. Green Arrow adversary. List of Green Arrow enemies. So, yeah, they've pretty much had a lot of these guys in here. You know, Merlin, Count Vertigo, Cupid, Hannibal Bates, China White, Clock King, Constantine Dracone. I don't know who he is. I mean, I suppose that could be somebody. I don't know if they've had him involved at all. They may have teased it as whoever it was that Ra's al Ghul was after, like Damien Dark or something like that. That could be the big bad guy, and that could be where, you know, Oliver might have to work with Merlin a little bit, I guess. You know, there's a lot of things that could happen. So I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But yeah, that's it. Season 3 of The Arrow in the books. I'd love to know what you guys think. What do you guys want to see in Season 4? And hope you guys enjoyed me randomly running around playing as The Arrow. And we'll see it.